Listen,
So, in America, it's gotten very popular to have a baby out of wedlock and not be married. Now, how would that go over in Pakistan?
In Pakistan, you are not allowed to touch a girl without marriage. Like you cannot, uh, in a easy word, I can say you cannot have sex with a girl if you are not married.
And so, what would happen if a girl got pregnant? Because I'm sure it happens. I'm sure it's not.
there's a lot of bad things which happens to the babies.
Really? Like what?
Like
You find the babies on the streets. You
What
find
about
the
the
babies.
girls?
You find the babies eaten by animals. You find them.
Do they kill the girls?
No. Well, it depends. Well, if the parents are liberal or okay with it, it's okay. Otherwise, they would
Can
maybe
the girl get an abortion
Yes.
on her own, or does mom
Yes.
and dad have to sign, or dad have to sign off?
The government allows that to happen. So, if you go to green centers and you pay $10 to the midwife, she'll abort the baby, even if she knows that it was out of the wedlock. That is happening, but doesn't happen. You can't say that for Pakistan, just like you can't say that for entire U.S. I'm sure there's crazy stuff happening in the U.S. also, but it just doesn't get highlighted. So it's really, it's not a very nice situation for a woman or a girl to get pregnant in Pakistan out of a wedlock.
But I was under the impression that if a girl got pregnant out of wedlock, that she could be killed by her father. That
She
it was
could
like,
be.
That it was actually a common thing, that if that
No,
happened,
it's
then
not,
Not
a
a
common
common
thing,
thing.
but it may be if you go like in a villages where they are not enough educated, then maybe yes, they will want to do that, but not everywhere. Like in the cities, like, at least not in the cities.
I mean, it's absolutely true that in that situation in America it could cause all kinds of different family problems.
Right.
But death is not typically one that's common. It wouldn't be one I would put high on the list.
But out of the 100,000 murders that happen in the U.S. every year, some of them could be for that reason also.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Okay, so
Condensed.
What?
Yeah, it's a scary, like the dog eating. It's just painful to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, for sure.
Only recently I saw one about this, so it was hurting. Yeah. All right. So, what's the next
So
question?
the next question is, if you are planning to change your professionalism, or if you are like if you are thinking to change your professionalism, or if you are thinking to change your job, then are you gonna discuss it with your family or husband or with your family members, or you will just do it?
You know the dishwasher's running again. Do you want to?
Okay,
Oh, Chuck, we shut the dishwasher off for a reason. Is it okay? We can't hear. Just do it again. I think it depends on. Oh, it is running again. I guess you do have to leave it open. Otherwise, we have to move somewhere else to do this, which we could.
This is fine.
I think it depends on what it is. I mean, if you're going to change your entire career, it's like any other relationship. It's like any other relationship. If you're going to, if you're married, you're going to speak to your spouse about it. If you're not married, you're going to talk to your family about it. You're probably going to talk to people you trust about it. But if it's smaller than that, like if it's like you've been invited to a conference in a country to speak, or you've been offered some kind of business opportunity, yeah, it's not going to work. It's going to run.
Is that the button for that?
It's just going to run, I think. It's close to being done, it looks like. Let it just go. Let's just finish here. I think it's draining. I think it's like almost done.
Okay.
Do you want me to wait?
No.
If it's something like you've been offered to speak in a country, you're going to be gone for a trip, or you have a new business opportunity and you make a deal, or it involves, it depends on how much, many resources, but generally you can make some relatively, you can make plans or decisions without talking to someone about it.
For
Depends.
example, if you got a new job and you need to move from Chicago to
Oh,
any other
absolutely.
city,
You would. I mean,
then you need
people
to figure
sometimes
it out.
don't do it, but they should for sure. Most families would talk about it. It would be a
Okay.
common thing. I mean, there's always the exception. People don't always act the way we think they should, but yeah, generally, yes, you would talk to people about that. The man would not make the decision for the woman. But then again, it depends on economics. I mean, it also depends on your biases, how you view. I mean, men here definitely sometimes have trophy wives who do very little, right? And it's for sure that happens. And sometimes women have trophy husbands. It just depends, right? On how you perceive your relationship. Is it about equality, or is it about what is it about?
I mean, in Pakistan, normally girls, wives don't work, but in the US, normally both husband and wife both are working. So that's why I was asking. Like, for example, if you need to travel to Miami, and you find a new job or you find a new business opportunity there. So do you need to, for example, if your husband says that he don't want to go, he wants to live in Chicago, so you will travel to Miami, or you will just postpone that plan?
It just kind of depends. I mean, it's definitely.
I mean, I'm not saying it's like the question. I'm asking just a general question. What normally people do, not like what you will do.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, I know some women who will just make a decision and do something without consulting their husbands. I know others who would never do a thing without doing that. It depends on if it's a family business. It depends on if it's their career. Depends who makes more money. Depends on so many things. It's not, there's no one answer. It's just all depending on different families.
Alright. So the next question I have is very, very funny. You might feel like it's a funny question, and a lot of people in Pakistan thinks that people who are living in the US, they have a lot of money,
Right.
and they have everything in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But still, people in Pakistan thinks that, like, for example, if you are earning like $5,000 a month, it's a lot of money in Pakistan.
Mm.
But in Pakistan, if somebody is earning like $500 a month, it's a lot of money for them.
Mm-hmm.
So in Pakistan, if the family earning like $500,000 a month, they have like one or two full-time mates, and then they have like the mates coming on a daily basis, like for 3-4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have like, there are two packages for the mates. One are who are staying with the family
Mm-hmm.
or for all day,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are other mates who are coming like for 2-3 hours. But in the US, in Pakistan, people think that it will be similar. It will be more easier. It will be more easier in US to spend a life, and that was I was thinking also. But when I came in, I saw like people are doing everything, whatever they need to do. Nobody is helping them. Like, you need to do, at least you need to do your work yourself. You need to wash your clothes. You need to wash your
Right.
bathroom and restroom and everything. So I wanted to understand why you don't have mates. Like, you are earning a lot of money.
Yeah. It's
Still
just
you don't
not
have
part of
mates.
our culture. I mean, you have to have a lot of money to have somebody
Is that
in your house.
a part of your culture, or it's like you need to pay a lot of money?
It's kind of a little bit of both. I mean, you have to have a lot of disposable income to afford to legally, as opposed to hiring an illegal alien. If you afford them legally, it's expensive to have someone come and stay in your home, and you have to have a big enough home that will have a separate living area for that person and accommodate them. And there's usually a lot of rules attached to it. It's not, I mean, it's just to properly hire someone is very expensive. And if it's not that expensive, it's also a decision about, do you want someone living with you in your house? I think I think if we really, really wanted it, we probably could make that happen, but it's not enough of a priority because our house is really neat and it seems like a waste of resources. And also because we share the jobs. So, I may cook more than he does, but he cooks, too. And I don't do any of my own laundry, which is for me how it works. But other families, they divide the tasks in different ways, but they divide it. It's not all the woman doing everything. And in other households, the women complain that they work full time and they get stuck with all the household stuff, and they really could use that extra, that maid. Like the common expression is, I need a wife. The woman saying, I need a wife, right? But they don't have it. It's not a common thing to hire it. I mean, kind of not what happens here.
What I understand is like it's not in your in your blood that to hire somebody to do your own work. For example, like people in the US have a lot of money. They can hire, like I met with some couple of families who can hire a lot of maids, but still they wanted to do their work themselves. Even though last year I met a lady, she was around like 85 or maybe 89, and she was not having any maids. She was doing everything herself. Yeah. So I think it's like it's not in your culture that to have to take help with somebody else instead of doing things with your own hands. But in Pakistan, it's totally opposite. Like,
right.
If right now I'm here, so if I need a glass of water, I need to go there. I need to go to the kitchen. But if I'm at home right now, so I will ask my wife, my daughter, or somebody else to bring.
So you don't even have to move.
No, that's why I have a big tummy. So in Pakistan, it's totally opposite. Like, I think it's a very bad thing. Now I'm start realizing that it's a very bad thing because it makes you lazy. One thing, especially, and then the second thing is.
So then, is it true that men are lazy? No, in Pakistan.
Maybe I don't know. I don't think I'm the right one to answer.
Okay.
The one thing is, it makes you very, very lazy when you stop doing your own work. One of my friend told me once that if you cannot do your own work, you cannot do anything to somebody else.
Right. I was raised with that.
Yeah, I was in a conference, and the guy who was giving a speech, he was saying that if you cannot do your own work, how you can grow your company, how you can work for other company, how the company can trust you if you cannot do your own work.
Yeah.
Like if you need somebody else to help you out, then how you can help the employer to grow the company.
Yeah. See, for me, if I had a maid, it would never be someone who was subservient to me. It would be somebody who we divided up the tasks, and sometimes she did them and sometimes I did them. It was just the extra hands and the help. But it wouldn't be, she did all these things that were off-put to her because they were beneath me, right, to do. It wouldn't.
I mean, extra hands are fine, but if you are having extra hand and you are not doing anything, that's something else.
Well,
I mean, when we have like maids in our house, but especially in our house, we have like 1, 2, 3 maids.
Oh my gosh.
1 is full time, 2 are part time.
Wow.
But
how many people are in your house?
We have like around 7 people.
Wow.
But we are not much dependent on them. Like they take off like for a week sometimes. Especially the one who is full time. She went to almost like every 2 months. She went to visit their family members or went for their cousin's wedding or something. So she takes like 10 days off, a week off. So
also, do you get the maid a maid?
No. Actually, it's when you hire a maid, then you can tell them that if she or he is going to take off, then she needs to send somebody else to work. But we have a small house, like we don't have a big house, and normally my wife and my mothers take care of the house.
Yeah.
but the mother is getting like older and older, so she cannot work like all the things.
How old is your mom?
She is, I guess she is 60 plus.
It's not so old.
Yeah, but in Pakistan it's the kind of a weather, the kind of a food we eat,
Kind of a brain we have.
the kind of a brain. But the brain is also working. The food we are getting, like whatever the things we are taking inside, I think that's how our brain works
It's
also.
your choice. You don't have to eat nahari over here.
Alright.
How about in office? Do people make their own coffee?
In offices, normally in the are you talking about our specific office or
Yeah.
just sorry?
A normal office.
A normal office, people don't make their own coffee. They don't do anything. Like we have maids for the employees also, so they bring the cup of coffee or tea.
Oh, wow.
Like every 3
We call them
hours.
receptionists.
The receptionist doesn't do that in our country.
Yeah, we call them receptionists or
Receptionist.
interns.
Interns
Not maids.
Actually, interns are is a good idea to have. Like next time, whenever we hire the interns, we can add one more line that you need to serve the coffee and a tea to your
That's
department.
right. They get delegated those terrible, demeaning tasks often in some industries and in others not at all. Depends on what industry. For example, if they're in a very high-profile industry like consulting work, they would never be getting people coffee. They would have receptionists and admin people doing some of those tasks, but there are no maids. They just are lesser status employees that job descriptions are broad and skill sets are lower.
But in the normal companies, we do have like maids, 2-3
Wow.
maids normally. 2-3 are like full time, and then couple of are part time
Wow.
to serve the employees. For example, if you have like 20 employees, so you
Yeah.
have like maybe minimum like you need to have 2 full time maids
Yeah.
to serve those 20 people.
So status, it seems, in Pakistan is super important into the country. It seems like, because to me, maids and cooks and drivers, those are symbols of status. Like, you're somebody if you have these things in your house, right?
No, not really. In part because everybody has it. I think everybody, like for example, if
But we don't have it here. It's not common here.
yeah, it's not common here, but
Right.
in
You have to go to
Pakistan-
like the wealthiest communities. If I take you to very wealthy places, the maid will answer the door, right? And I can pick out where those communities are and pretty much say, go ring any doorbell and you'll get a maid. Like, because I know where those places are. I don't live in those places. I live in nice communities, but I don't live in those places because it's really expensive. I mean, those are at least several $1 million plus houses. $1 million wouldn't cut it here. You have to have a house that's probably $3 to $5 million to be in that category in general, or have kids. People have nannies a lot when they have kids because they work, and the battle is always the price of the nanny is going to eat up my salary, but my sanity of getting out of the house away from the kids is worth making no money just to have that freedom to be able to do those things.
Right.
And so nannies, when you have kids, are very, very common, and families will stretch very far to be able to have that kind of support. And sometimes the nanny will do things that are maid-like. They'll cook the meal, they'll do the grocery shopping, they'll pick up the dry cleaning, they'll get the mail. They probably won't clean the house. Maybe, but probably not.
Yeah, nannies are like kind of extended hands for the wife.
Right.
Like I said.
Right, but they really aren't going to clean. That they're going to have.
They are on the top level in the maids.
They are.
Like they have.
Well, they handle kids.
They are the one who is responsible to handle the maids.
Right.
Maid and the driver.
But most families that are really stretching to have nannies are not going to have other help. It's going to be a burden for them just to have managed to have that nanny, or they're that's going to be usually it.
Are the nannies full time or part time?
It just depends. That's economics completely, but I would say that families really try to have enough coverage so that it's usually because one of the parents wants to work, not because they want to sit home and watch TV, right? It's because they need to leave the kids with somebody.
Sure. So in Pakistan, almost everyone has the maids. 70 to 80% you can say they have like maids, but it's depend. For example, some people having like full-time maids, some have like part-time maids who are coming like to their houses for 1 hour. But normally everybody, like for example, if you ask somebody that who is cleaning your house or who is coming to your house to for the cleaning purpose, so normally they will say like they have a time for the maids like at 11 o'clock in the morning or 10 a.m. in the morning for the maids timing. But normally families, yes, they do have. There are only a few percentage that people who cannot bear it, like who don't have enough, who are not earning enough money, they don't have it. But most of the people have the maids and the drivers also, not only the maids.
I'll take the driver. That's good.
Arranged marriages.
The next question.
So you can ask question about arranged marriages.
So
is it live?
So in America, people will, casually date. They'll go out in groups. They'll casually date. There's all kinds of services. I am probably by Pakistani standards, a disaster because I'm divorced and remarried. Very happily, was married a really long time, unsuccessfully. But both of my husbands, I'm done. I won't get married again. I'm very happily married. Both of my husbands I met online. I met them through dating services. And I dated a lot online before I got married either time. Do women do that in Pakistan?
Honestly speaking, yes, but they don't tell in their families that they are doing it. Because from the family point of view, it's not allowed. They wanted to have the girls and the daughters on the safe side, so they don't allow to spend time with the boys, especially not hanging out with just one boy. If you are going in a group, it's fine because you are in a group, like a lot of people are with you, like 4 to 6 people, so you cannot do any kind of hanky-panky. But when you are like alone and you are just meeting up a guy, so you don't know, like his mind can be changed, or he can do something which.
But it has to happen all the time. I mean, it's. I look at that and say, that's denial and a repressed culture, because it's like, I mean, I didn't shove it under my parents' nose that I was dating online. They would probably been a little worried about my safety. But I always picked public places. I never went someplace it wasn't comfortable. Like always very public. It wasn't in a group, but it also wasn't in secrecy or in a place where I thought I could be at risk in any way, right?
Yeah. So there is, in the starting of the conversation, you said that if somebody do personal message to you, you prefer them to ask them on your on your wall.
What I call public discourse.
On public discourse.
Yes.
So there are a couple of things. For example, if you would like to date someone, then still you need to take care of for a couple of things. For example, you cannot ask someone to meet in a place where it's very far from the main downtown area or from the streets. So let's say, first of all, it's not allowed. Like in the religion, it's not allowed to do that. Either it's a group.
So it's taboo. If they're doing it, they're doing it.
I don't think it's disallowed in religion.
Huh? You don't think so?
You cannot hang out with girls.
You cannot hang out with girls, but you can have a conversation with a girl you want
so
to
you
marry.
guys are in deep trouble. You're hanging out with me. You've been hanging out with me for 3 days.
She's asking that can you date with the girls. So dating is not allowed.
Well, if dating with
is everything arranged? Is everything arranged? Or it's supposed to be? You can't say, this is the girl or boy I'm going to marry.
No, Mom. You can say that if you like someone, you can tell, if you have the balls to say in front of your parents, then you can do that.
And they say,
normally
I disown you, go away. You can't marry this person.
No, I don't think it's anymore as much.
Like that.
Okay.
As much, depending on the place.
But you know what? We had that problem too. My mom was Polish and she married a Greek man whose parents were first generation. And they didn't come to their wedding because my mom wasn't Greek, right? Yeah. I mean, it definitely happens here. That's not weird to me, whether it's,
The problem is the children are so much dependent on their parents
Mm-hmm.
that they have some scared thingy. If they say something which parents don't like, and if parents say, okay, just go ahead and do it, I'm not with you, so they know they cannot do anything.
Right.
They are so much dependent on their parents, their family members, that they cannot do anything. If they think that they can do love marriage, but still they need to do something before saying to the parents. They need to be standing on their own feet. They cannot rely like for the whole life for 15-20 years on their parents, and then suddenly they said that this is what I want to do.
But by religion it's allowed.
Religion is allowed.
By religion it's totally allowed. It's the culture that does not allow it.
Religion allows you to
Do whatever
to
you
do
want.
the marriage, to do the marriage part, but it's not allowed to
But
have
you have to.
dating.
But you have to have your
No.
parents' permission.
No,
No.
not by religion.
Just
Not
by
religion.
by
Just
culture.
by culture.
Yeah.
So
By
if a girl wants to marry a guy, and she really wants to marry a guy, and she's like 18 plus, or baligh means it could be even 16 plus,
Mhm.
not just 18. She can choose whoever she wants to marry by law, even, and by religion, both.
Okay.
It's just the culture which does not allow it.
I mean, it's all messed up here. Lots of parents have coronaries because they don't like who their child is dating or involved with, and don't want them to have anything to do with them. And I mean, there's definitely a culture here, and it really goes back to how your family operates or what your family thinks is in your best interest, or, I mean,
I think it's not a culture. It's like because they help everything in the past like 15-20 years.
Right.
They help a lot of they help a lot. They do a lot of help to their daughters.
right,
So daughters or the
Respect.
right.
boys respect also.
But I also think it's economic.
But they're but the daughters are not enough. They don't have enough power to say in front of their parents because
Right.
they are so much reliable for
Right.
everything on
That
their
makes sense.
parents. So they think if the parents refuse it,
Yeah.
then they might not go the things which they are going to get like after 2 or to 5 years
Yeah.
or like 10 years.
But I think it's economic because I think that if my very first motivation when I was really young to start a business was that my mom thought I talked too much on the phone, and she was paying my phone bills in school, and she was just ragging on me about the phone bill being too high because she just thought I spent too much time on the phone and I should be doing something else. It wasn't even the money, it was just that she thought that was a symbol of a waste of time, right? And I should be doing something else. And I was so annoyed with her. I was like, I'm going to pay this bill myself. You're not going to. And my motivation when I first got started was to pay my phone bill. Just so that my mom could not say a word about it because she no longer got the bill. And it worked like a champ. The minute that I was able to pay that bill for a few months in a row and she had no idea what I was doing, I felt so powerful because she had nothing to say.
Yeah, but similarly, if the same case happened in Pakistan, the girl stopped talking with the boy because they don't know like how to earn the money. They are so much, as I said, like they are so much dependent on their parents.
But that's what I'm
because
saying.
they
It's
are the
also
one-
economic. If the girl
Yeah.
became empowered and was able to do that, she probably would have more control in her family.
Yeah.
Not to disrespect her family, but her family would probably respect her more and give her some accommodation.
True.
And then she would probably give her family also the respect, and somehow it would work out a little differently because of that power base, right?
Right.
I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Same thing here. It's whoever is paying the bills and who's ever, how mature you are and how much you've stepped into adulthood, and you can assume responsibility for the good, the bad, and the ugly, sort of dictates how much authority you have, I think, over your life as a younger person, because it indicates how capable you are of managing.
It's like if you are not disrupting your family in a good way, they will not give you good respect.
Right.
If you are doing it, then definitely they will
Right.
they will respect your opinion and whatever you're saying.
Right.
They will give you more respect.
And one of the challenges we have here is probably one that inherently you've had for a long time, is that it seems to me like kids don't leave their house because
Yeah.
grandparents, the whole family stays together, extended family stay together more where you are than here. We're a culture of broken families.
In Pakistan, sometimes yes. If you have like a big house, then normally families prefer to stay with their parents, with the grandparents, and
Hmm.
with the brothers and sisters. Not the sisters, but with the brothers.
Yeah, definitely not
But
here.
if
That's
you-
not what happens here. They scatter mostly.
But if you don't have a big house, then you need to like take a small house, rent out a small house, and you need to go out.
Hmm.
I think not a lot of families nowadays live with their parents or with their family members. Most of them are nowadays, at least, most of them are more like whenever they get married, they prefer to have a small house, but they don't prefer to stay with their family. Maybe starting like for 6 months, 12 months, they prefer to live with their family members, but not for a longer period
Hmm.
because the girl is coming from a different community, different. She is having a different mindset,
Hmm.
and the boy is having a different mindset, and then the parents have a different mindset. So
Mhm.
because the boy the husband normally goes for the work.
Hmm.
So when he came back to the home, he will he will tell the things to her wife in a different way, and the wife is spending a lot of time with the grandmother or with the mother-in-law. So she's getting a different knowledge from them. So she might become, she might face a problem. So that's why I think nowadays they prefer to stay. They prefer not to stay with the family. With the family.
So do the kids typically go from mom and dad to their husbands? They don't tend to live by themselves in between, right? It's either with their families or they get married and then they move into their new home.
It depends. For example, sometimes yes.
So girls will leave the house and
Yes,
live
girls.
independently?
No, girls live with the husband and with the husband's place.
But they don't live on their own.
They can live their own, not before marriage. Like after marriage, they can live
Right.
their own.
But in
if they
between,
have
they,
enough.
they would if they're 20 years old and they're not married, they're still living with their parents.
Yes.
Yeah. And if they're 30 years old and they're not married, they're still living with their parents.
Yes.
And if they're
Because-
50 years old and not married, they're still living with their
Yes.
parents. Yeah. That would not happen here. They would move out. Or they would get kicked out. However, it's happening more and more and more that 20 and 30-year-olds are still living at home. And when I was younger, if you were 20 and still living at home, your parents were trying to figure out how to get you out the door. Like, you weren't supposed to be at home anymore. You're supposed to be on your way.
So it's in Pakistan. It's a totally different thing. Because now in Pakistan, it's because you are like dependent on your parents for like 15-20 years. So a lot of things relates to each other. For example,
right.
like when you are dependent on your parents for 20 years, then you cannot ask your parents that, hey dad, I wanted to get married with this boy, because you were depending on him and you were not doing anything. But in the US, it's totally different, because you were doing like from the last 10 years or 5 years, you were doing everything on yourself. So you have a
Right, but I'm saying we have more of your, I don't want to call it a problem, but in terms of a lack of strengthening of youth, we're increasingly where you are. More and more and more people don't leave their house, and so they.
in US.
And so they have more demands on them. They have less demands on them to earn money because the finances are being pooled by the family, and so they're not stepping into, both the reality of how do I take care of myself. And they're also not stepping into their own mental reality of who am I and what am I supposed to be doing with myself, right? And so it's a form of laziness and weakness that gets reinforced out of the easiness of just being able to stay with what's comfortable and familiar. And parents are increasingly getting less pushy about kicking their kids out. And so we're falling into that more and more and more. Where youth are, you'll talk to somebody who's in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're still living at home. And that's different here. That's a shift for us. That's not how it used to be. And so, you combine that with our problem with entry-level positions, or really the only positions being available, McDonald's, like really low-level positions. and you see kids that are graduating with high level science degrees and with computing skills that they have a funny idea how, funny not as in weird, but they have some very progressive big idea of how to use it and no place to find a job to use it because their opinion of what, they're impatient and they think they should be able to get to the top in 30 seconds because they've never had to endure anything. They've never had to work for anything. They've been given everything.
Right.
And there's this sense of entitlement. And these kids that are graduating, I find a lot of people want to slap them from America because it's like, wake up. You are not embracing reality in a way that is going to serve you or your kids or their kids. And it's frightening to see that commonality because I feel like it's a grand diminishing of all of our potential and capacity building instead of using that kind of nurturing to raise strength, because it is a form of great nurturing. It's a wonderful thing to be able to have your family support you in the sense that you've got emotional support, you've got that comfort, but it shouldn't be debilitating. It should be uplifting, and it could be, and I'm not sure what needs to shift around. And that's probably one of the other reasons I'm really interested in entrepreneurship, is because entrepreneurship it's such a basic thing. It's a big word for a really basic thing, is how can I take who I am and turn it into a way to financially support myself. And you can do that from any household. You can do that at the kitchen table. You can do that anywhere your imagination will take you if you're supported to do that. And so there's no reason that it can't be the way forward to strengthen humanity while they live with their parents.
I think nowadays in Pakistan also, a lot of students start doing something, starting something their own. So it will become something like in 5, 8 or 10 years, or in 3 years sometimes. But like 3 years ago, they were totally depending upon their family members or their parents. But nowadays, I think there are a lot of kids who are coming, like who are under 20 or 15, under 15 age, but they are coming with the great ideas and they wanted to do something. They are working somehow. They are working online because now they think that they have the good opportunities. So at least if somebody don't have any idea, but still they can go online and they can enroll themselves in different ways on different websites from which they can do something, some small things to other people. For example, small tasks like for 1 hour task or 2 hour task. But before that, they were totally depending upon their family members, and I think that's why, because everything relates to each other. Like they have they have like links with each other. So I think for example, let me give you one good example. I think that when my daughter will grow up, she will not gonna ask me that I want to get married with someone. She will do it. She will not. I cannot force her that to get married with a person, which I think is more fine. Whose family is more good, more nice, or healthy or wealthy. But I think it will be very, very hard for me to force her at like after 15 or 20 years, because she will learn a lot of things. She will do a lot of things on her own, which I was not able to do. I was not able to do it like at that point or at that particular of age. For example, the first time I traveled from Karachi to the other country. So it was like when I was like 19 or 20 years old. But my daughter got a chance to travel like when she was 1.5 years ago. So I have like pictures and everything, videos, so I can show her that you travel these places. Now, when the first time in my life I took a hotel, I took a hotel reservation when I was like 17 or 18, but she got a chance to do it like I live in Karachi, in Pakistan, and I enrolled myself in a hotel membership. so I can take her and I can show the nice places in the hotel.
Mhm.
Normally it's like a little expensive, but when you enroll in a hotel membership, so they give you like 2 nights free and the other benefits.
Mhm.
So I enroll her. I enroll myself, so I can show her the places in the hotel,
Mhm.
especially, and what are the things like normally the things the hotel have, we don't have it in our own houses.
Mhm.
And the way they looks like, they are big, like they have a swimming pool and everything.
Mhm.
So now my daughter, I took her to the swimming pool, and now she likes the swimming pool so much that she wanted every time. Whenever I ask her, "Where do you wanna go? Where do you want it?"
What is she swimming?
She cannot swim, but she just wanted. I just take her on the shoulder. I just ask her to sit on my shoulders.
But what is she wearing?
The daughter.
Yeah.
The normal swimming costume,
A full costume, right?
not the full costume.
But
just-
it's not just a swimsuit like Americans wear.
it
She's
was
like
less,
2.
She's like 2
Oh,
years
she's like
old.
2. Okay.
So she was wearing less than what the normally people wear in the
I would be curious to see it though, because the first time I was in Morocco at a hotel and I had never seen women fully covered ever get into a pool before, and it was fascinating watching what they wore getting into a pool.
It's called a burkini.
They didn't know what it was called. I was just
Burkini.
really amazed. I was like, I'm amazed you aren't afraid you're going to drown with the weight of like what's
no,
on
it's
them.
not heavy.
It's not that heavy.
I understand. It just was an interesting
But
sight.
that's how it was in your country 70 years ago.
I'm not saying anything about it. I'm just saying it was a very interesting thing to observe. I had not ever thought, just like I hadn't thought much at all about Pakistan, never thought about what they were going swimming. So it was very interesting.
So I want to like sort of add one thing, that everything we think in our country is absurd or different or far, every single of those things was happening 100 years ago in Europe, in the US, everywhere. Majority of those.
No, you don't need to defend it.
I'm not defending. I'm just, for him and
I
for
was-
majority who are watching, just reminding that if they like, because a lot of people who are in the West come in and sort of mock us for how women are treated or this is treated, and they forget that 70 years ago a woman couldn't vote in the United States. I'm not saying it's you,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't realize that only certain years ago things were very, very different.
I think that it's a very common reaction to look at other cultures
And judge them.
and or make fun of them for the things that we see that look unusual to them, and make jokes about it because it's a coping mechanism, right? It's an easy way to stereotype without really saying you're stereotyping, and you know. But we were talking about what were we talking about? We were talking
Swimming costumes.
Yeah, but before that, we were talking about women. We were talking about women staying in their houses for a long time and their families taking care of them. The maid thing blows me away. Yeah, just
Okay,
amazing.
we'll get back to it. So another common question which everybody thinks it's in their head but they never mention, that every woman in the US looks like a Baywatch woman.
I don't. Yeah, right.
Is that true?
People, yeah, I think not in Pakistan, everywhere in the world, people think that the easiest girl to hang out or to make friends or
Sleep well.
to sleep with, yeah, you can say, are the US girls, because they are open-minded, they are open for the world, you can say, or they are like, you will get what you want when you talk with them.
It's
But
kind of like
when I came here, and I was surprised, and I was having a different mindset. But when I came here first time, and I met with not coming from here, but before that, when I was making friends in the US, and I was planning to travel to the US, so I started making friends. I started making more friends on social media, so I can try to learn how they think, what they do, and the different things. Then I realized it's the things which were shown in the movies and the things which we saw on the media.
yeah.
That's a totally different thing. And when you met with someone, they are not ready for. I'm sorry for my language, but they are not available for sex. Like you cannot ask somebody, you cannot have.
I can
You
show
know-
you where you can go to. I can definitely take you to a street corner and show you
That's-
areas where you could
But that's
find that
different.
if that's what you're
We're
looking
not,
for.
that's not. He's not talking about prostitution.
But no, I'm not talking about prostitution either. I mean,
Really?
you know, no. I think that it's class based. I think that it's very funny that Americans we don't talk much about class. We look at Britain, for example, and say it's very, very class based. I think it's incredibly class based here. I mean, there are groups of women that I can't get into because they don't think I fit into that group, right? And there are groups of women I would choose not to hang around with, not because I'm judgmental, but because I would be bored, and so I don't choose to. But it's very class based here, and you know, if you are as a general stereotype, which when women break it, they really stand out. Beautiful women who are really intelligent and who also look really hot are not typically things that go together, which is why, you know, for example, political figures like Sarah Palin were bashed so terribly because had she been, you know, she was judged very harshly, good or bad, right or wrong, but because she was very pretty, right? And so she was assumed she should have been smarter for the position or whatever it was, right? And so generally, if you're really, really an attractive woman, you probably don't have a brain. You know, it's sort of the stereotype that there's a whole chunk of them out there. They call them Valley Girls in, you know, California. Like you can find them, and they're you know different.
But the movies and the other stuff which change our mindset, especially in Pakistan, they think that the girls are almost like available at any time.
Oh no,
But
yeah.
He's still
It's
looking
not
for
like
Pamela
that.
Anderson.
Right. Okay. but see, it depends on. See, I still feel like maybe not every woman, but you have to know where to go look for them. Like, you know, you can find them, and you can find a whole ton of them, and you can find nothing but them if you go to the right places.
Okay, tell us so we can Facebook them.
But
I mean, you know, it's a circle of friends, so it really comes down to your own interests and desires and who you wish to associate with and what you consider to be worth your time, right? And so, you know, the illusion always looks better than reality because reality always makes you think about what you want and it forces you to choose, right? Go to Venice
think it's-
Beach. Just hang out at Venice Beach. You'll all day long. You'll find them. I don't know that they'll all sleep with you, but you know.
We were there and nothing happened. I found some homeless people.
Anyhow.
I think it gives a total different experience when you start talking with someone. Then
Mhm.
you start realizing that no, it's not like that the way we were thinking or the way we watch in the movies, because they give a totally different.
Right.
Uh,
Well, like what I was saying
different
earlier about homeland
things, yeah.
and about making Pakistan.
because
sure.
like 3 years ago, there was the only way to educate them ourselves. Like if I want to learn anything, the most easiest way for me to watch movies, right?
Mhm.
And the movie shows that it's because every girl is movie shows that the girls are always available, the girls are ready to hang out and everything. So that's how the people in Pakistan especially do things. But nowadays, I think when they start talking with someone, for example, when you said to make friends on Facebook, now you start realizing that how hard it is to make friends and to have a genuine conversation
Mhm.
with the people overseas,
Mhm.
and that will help changing their minds that it's not like that. It was filled in our brain like 3 or 5 years ago.
Mhm. Well, it takes a lot of effort to make friends in general. I mean, friendships are not formed. They're
Yeah.
formed because both people are willing to invest time.
Yeah, but in our country, it's because the friendship is not allowed, and you cannot make friends. You can so
You can
everyone-
make friends among guys.
Yeah, with the girls you cannot do friendship, but so that's why everyone, if I tell someone that I have a friend but she's a girl, everyone thinks that she's my girlfriend, or I'm trying to sleep with her, or I'm trying to sex with her.
Mhm.
That's what's the common thing, because we don't have the middle part, the friends part. So that's why everyone thinks that they are close enough, or they are like boyfriend girlfriend, not just friends.
But you know, as a woman in business, because I've been in business for a long time, when I was younger, it was a constant battle to get men to take me seriously, to do business with me, because they were always trying to go out with me or do other stuff like that had nothing to do. You know, they were looking at me as a sex object, not as a business person. And I think a lot of women have that problem in a work situation here in America. And I hear a lot of young women still saying that to me, where, you know, they're just so tired of it, and it beats you down because you feel really demoralized, like, you know, you're only there. You're there to try to accomplish something, and they're there with a completely ulterior motive and don't really care about what you're trying to do. And in some instances, if you don't acquiesce and do what they want, actually obstruct trying to help you accomplish business goals. And, you know, the industry that I was in really mostly is very few women in it. You know, they didn't really want you in their club. They saw you as an obstructionist, basically, if you wouldn't play along with them and go to their, you know, lap dance clubs and, you know, the things boys do.
In Pakistan also it's almost same, you can say, but because we have like less percentage right now, but like 2 years ago it was very less. The girls were working couple of percent girls were working in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, as the days are passing and they are getting more educated,
Mm-hmm.
the girls, like, normally companies try to hire girls,
Mm-hmm.
so they can have like the good environment, the good you can say they have like balance
Mm-hmm.
in the employees, like
Mm-hmm.
the 50%,
Right.
60% boys, 40%, 50% girls. So everybody will remain in their own, like in a good manner in the company, and they respect each other. And when the company hire more girls, so it brings more competition.
Mm-hmm.
So the boys try to change to so the boys tries to work more harder. So they don't need, because in Pakistan normally wife needs to be at working, like taking care for the home, not working
Mm-hmm.
for the companies. So if a man needs to take order from a woman, if a girl is on the higher position, so the guy will not gonna say in front of him, but inside he start feeling that he's taking the order from a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And when he go back to the home, she's ordering her wife for everything, but in the office she needs to take the order.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you have like balance in the employees, also I saw a couple of companies, I know a couple of big companies who are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like balance in the company,
Mm-hmm.
and they can see like if the reputation for the company and the behavior in the company will remain like good. Because if there's only boys, no girls in the company, so boys can do, like, they can speak, they can talk the way they wanted to. But if you have girls in the office and you have like couple of girls in each department, so they need to be speak, and they need to behave in a good way. They cannot use abuse language. They cannot do anything bad. They cannot shout. They cannot do small things.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's challenging in America to put that into a framework that isn't really condescending towards women, because women struggle with this. You know, they wind up. I remember hiring people that were men that were older than me and smarter than me in my industry, and feeling like, is this person going to listen to me? You know, and fortunately I was lucky. Some of them did, some of them didn't. You know, but very difficult in America still to be in a leadership position and have men working for you, because it takes a very special man to listen to a woman at work still. And it's when I was younger, I really felt like I just had to prove myself, and now I really am for trying to improve things for women, because I think it's really, women still have a hard time around the world. I think it's just as much a problem here as it probably is there. Different, maybe more obvious in some places than others, but it's still a problem. It's just less. It's more accepted here, I think. It's sad. The whole thing's sad to me.
I think it will change in the upcoming years. It's not very far. Maybe
hope
it will
so.
change like 3 to 5 years, not more than that.
I hope so.
You think how many people did not vote for Hillary because she was a woman?
A lot, and women are treated and judged more harshly. I mean, it's so obvious without getting this into a political nightmare, but it's just, you know, just so obvious to me the way the election went. I mean, the things that they held against her, I think that she has, for a politician, one of the cleanest records, and I'm sure people are going to scream and yell about that, but I really do, because for all the years of service, the things that we can point to are so short, and with the men, so often the lists were so long, including clearly with Trump, and the fact that those things can happen just to me are representative that women have still not gotten to a place where they are treated equally. If you can find a hole in a woman, you can blow it up and make it be everything. And, you know, everybody has their own opinions about where values lie and all that, but it's just the disparity between how women are treated and how men, and what's acceptable for a woman to do and what's acceptable for a man to do are still really miles and miles and miles apart, and that's tough.
So who does the laundry in Pakistan?
Who does what?
The laundry.
The laundry in Pakistan.
The maid. The maid does the laundry.
The laundry is supposed to be done by the maid's maid, not the maid.
Oh, okay. The
Because-
maid's maid?
Yeah, the maid's maid means like.
So you never know where your laundry is.
because the maid who is responsible who is coming for like full time, she needs to do the other stuff. Laundry is a small thing, so we need to have somebody. We need to hire a maid's maid, and she can do the laundry thing because that's a small thing. The other things which are for example cooking or cleaning the house and the other things, that's the maid. Normally that's the maid responsibility. But in some houses, like for
And who
example,
corrects her? The wife?
Who corrects what?
Who corrects her?
The
The maid.
thing? For the maid.
Who is the boss of the maid?
The maid. The upper maid.
Who? The upper maid.
Yeah.
And who is the boss of the upper maid?
Nanny, if you have
And who's the boss of the nanny?
wife.
Okay, so the wife is ultimately responsible for these maids.
Actually, wife is not responsible for the maid.
It's the
but
husband?
She.
Who's going to correct the maid if the maid isn't doing something?
Nanny or the
Between
wife?
the
Yes.
wife, yeah.
Yeah, actually you're right. The wife is the one who is responsible for all those things because she knows if anything is pending or if the maids take off, then wife needs to do something.
So if the wife is at the kitchen and the maid is sitting at the kitchen table and the maids are in the kitchen, the wife will say, "Get me a cup of coffee" to the maid.
You can say yes.
Right. So they will serve the wife.
Yes.
Okay.
They will serve everybody, whoever is living in the house.
Okay.
They need to serve.
And if the wife doesn't like the maid, who will fire the maid?
Wife can fire a maid.
Okay. All right.
Wife can ask her that we don't need
Would
you.
the wife consult the husband before she fired the maid?
Not really, because that's wife's responsibility.
Okay.
Because she needs to get the work done. If the maid is not coming, then it's her responsibility. If
Okay.
the laundry
So,
is not done,
so her
then
husband would be mad at her husband would be mad at her if the maid wasn't doing the job.
it depends what kind of a husband do you have. For example, if they have a kind of a husband like me, I don't care if my room is whatever it is, because I know my wife is more. She's more. She more likes the thing to be clean, and she more is like kind of a person. She wanted everything to be on his particular space.
Mhm.
For example, when I came back from the office, I just put my bag on near the door, or sometimes near the refrigerator, or
Mhm.
sometimes here and there. So she's the one who she is responsible to take my bag from there and put it on a space where it is supposed to be. So in my case, if maid is absent, I know she's gonna take care. If maid is taking off, like when I was traveling to Pakistan, before that, like my maid, she got ill or something, and she take like 10 to 15 days off. So I was forcing my wife to stop doing everything and spend some time with me because I was traveling for like 10 days. So I was forcing her and I was requesting her to stop doing all those things, and you can do it like once I start traveling, then you can take care of everything. But she wanted to to have like everything neat and clean. Everything needs to be on his specific position at a specific place. So in my case, I know she will gonna take care, and
Right.
she normally do. But normally, if you ask, I think husband will get mad on the wife
Mhm.
if the things are not done, if the food is not ready, if the meals are not ready, if the laundry is not done. But in my case, I don't need to ask her that where are my clothes, where are my things and everything. Like if for example, if when I go back home, she's the one who is responsible to open my bag and to bring everything out and
Oh,
put
you're
everything
joking.
in.
Not
Yeah.
responsible, but that she does it.
She normally do it, yeah. I don't need to ask her to help me with this. It's something I know that she will gonna do it. It really doesn't matter what time it will be, and she's tired or not tired. I mean, if I ask her that let's do it tomorrow or some other time, then and spend some time with me, then I need to ask her. I need to push her to give me some time. Otherwise, she wants you to complete all the things, and then she spend time with me.
When you walk, do women walk in front of you or behind you?
What does that mean?
Just walk. When you walk, are women, if you're with a group of people,
Yeah.
will your wife be beside you or behind you?
She
Or in
will
front
walk
of
with
you?
me. No, she will just walk with me.
Okay.
Laundry in the U.S.
How's the laundry in the U.S.?
It's all over the place. I mean, it's, women, you saw me. I cooked this morning. I mean, a lot of times on Sunday mornings, Chuck will cook for me, but that's because we negotiated that. We figured out, I said, I don't want to cook 7 days a week, but it naturally sort of fell on me, right? It's normal, women do still wind up with more of the household child raising responsibilities. They tend to be the ones that whether it's discussed or not, it does fall on you. But I think modern women push back and ask for their husbands to participate because otherwise they wind up with all of it on them. And so I know a lot of women who sometimes some men are just wonderful and just do it, but a lot of times they just have to talk to their husbands and they'll reach a middle ground and the husbands will help. In my case, I really don't like doing the laundry, so my husbands have always done the laundry. I don't do the laundry. But, my daughter-in-law, they trade all their jobs around. They are always negotiating who does what, and it doesn't really matter. They just divide up the tasks, and it works. And I think a lot of women try to marry like that if they can because it's nicer. It's a lot easier. They don't have to work and do all the household tasks, and they're not prone to having a maid, full-time maid. So
I
it
think
really does fall on the woman then.
everything is so different in Pakistan as compared to US because the girls are not working. Because if once the wife starts working, then you need to participate in the house things.
Right.
You need to do something which helps her because she cannot just like I cannot work and I cannot take care for the home. I cannot raise the child. I cannot do many things. Like it's not possible for me to do everything because she's not working. So wife can do all the things. But I think in the families where wife and husband both are working and full time working, then I believe they do distribute things like what are the things husband needs to do, and what are the things like wife needs to do.
I mean, it would be good. It's not always the case. I mean, women will complain. It would be a good question to put on Facebook because I would think that more women than you would think would say it all falls on me and my husband's oblivious, and probably more than you would think would say it doesn't all fall on me and my husband's really great, he just helps out. But it's definitely not it has not come into full consciousness. Not every household operates like that. I remember a woman when I was getting divorced who basically said one of the main reasons she was getting divorced was her husband just constantly put her into a subservient role. It was always just she always had to have dinner on the table. Because she was always like, because I think it's you love people, you do things for them, you cook for them, you help them, and so I don't mind at all cooking. I love my husband. I want to make him nice food. I want him to eat healthier, right? That's part of being a family. But she just felt like she did it out of love, and he took it to put her in her place, like to always make her be in that role. And she just didn't want to do it anymore, and she got divorced for literally a whole host of reasons that related to being in a wife role. Like, she just felt it was demeaning. After years and years and years, he wasn't working, and it was all on her, and she still had to do everything right. You know? So I think women still have so far to go to get men to be cooperative, and I think it's a problem. But we don't. It's not as clear here. It's more fragmented. You know, it's not. These are the roles that we really hold on to culturally. It's all a mishmash.
All right, 10-minute break.
Oh my God, that was like forever long.